2030.
This is the 2030.
Yalla, 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 yalla. So, welcome to our guest today. We have with us Abdulrahman Sandokji, who is a documentary filmmaker and storyteller based in Riyadh, who is passionate about making investigative and exploratory documentary films. Over the past 15 years, he's directed and produced dozens of projects and has been featured in the leading broadcast channels, cinemas, public screenings. He's published a book about making documentaries and offers training in that space. His film Underground, which we hope we can talk about a bit today, opened the 10th Saudi Film Festival this year. Welcome, Abdulrahman.
Welcome, Hanaa. Welcome, Lucien. Thank you very much for your invitation.
It's completely our pleasure. I guess the best way to start this conversation out, Abdulrahman, is to sort of ask you about how you got into film. You've been working in it for over 15 years. How did you get your start? Where did you start off from? What drew you to the world of film production?
I had a camera the first time when I was around 15 or 16. And I was very curious about the video part of that camera, The still picture was not satisfactory enough to me. I want things to move around. I want to take a live action. At that time, we didn't have any mobile phones with video cameras, so it was like a magic in my hand. But I studied industrial engineering in King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. And by the last 2 years I started discovering this video thing again. The cameras of the mobile phones started to have like cameras. So I started make video blogs at that time. And I was like started posting them on Facebook in 2008 specifically. So from that time, I started to get in touch with filmmakers around the university, some people who are passionate about filmmaking around me. They started to show me the Canon 5D. I have one over there. That was my first Canon 5D. From that time, I still keep it with me as a souvenir of the beginning of all, So I started get my teeth into this. I started to want to learn how to make like nice cinematography, nice stories, nice films. I started to make films in my university about the nanotechnology, for example, about some engineering stuff. So I felt like, yeah, maybe this is my thing. Before, I was trying to discover myself in painting sometimes, in writing sometimes, or poetry, different aspects, but I still didn't find my passion in these things. So I felt like maybe film might be my best tool to deliver my message, to deliver my vision, to deliver my passion, my stories, the things I see, the things I like, to put stories on screen for people to watch.
I think you said you started kind of by playing around with cameras and then putting things on Facebook. And I think that you've also reached quite a wide audience using YouTube. Would you say that that's the main way that you have been able to launch your career, or have there been key supporters along the way?
Actually, the YouTube was the only way we had at that time. YouTube was getting very, very, very fast in the concept of the films, the vlogs, the funny content, or like inspirational content and stuff. So at that time, I remember one of my friends called Muhammad Mukhtar, he sat with me in 2008 and he said, "Do you know YouTube?" And I was like, "Yeah, I hear about YouTube from time to time. I know Facebook and stuff." So he said, "Check that out. Check the people who make content. They make like kind of a TV show kind of thing. Like they talk and they deliver their messages." And I was like, okay, let me check that out. I remember when I finished having the coffee with him and he told me about this, that night I started posting my first vlog. It was like the first of Ramadan. And I was like, okay, how about I use Ramadan as a nice time for delivering nice messages to people, inspiring content to people. So it started from there. YouTube was a very good start, was a very good support for all the filmmakers in Saudi Arabia in general. The most successful directors now, 90%, at least 90% of them had YouTube content in part of his career. or worked with a YouTube company. So I was one of these people, and it was a nice experience because there is no right and wrong. You get to learn from your mistakes, and you get to know the actual impressions from the audience, their critiques, their opinions, and etc. So it was a very good motivation, very good correction in our path, and etc. So it was a nice experience. And YouTube was amazing.
And I read that you had one of the YouTube posts got 5 million views?
That was a documentary I made in 2014. The title was Phosphine. Phosphine is a very toxic substance that leads to any creature to die after certain time of smelling the gas that comes from these small balls. Do you know the naphthalene we put in our clothes so that the ants doesn't eat our
mothballs?
Yes, it's something similar.
Yeah.
People used to use it in storage areas, especially for the food storage areas, so that if there was insects or if there was like rats or anything, they get killed. Okay. But I was living in Jeddah. Some ignorant workers started using these substances or started to make money out of these substances, trying to sell them to people to use them at home if they have like cockroaches or stuff. So that, and they tell them to go out of the house for 5 days and then come again until the affection of this gas disappears. But this gas gets in the upper floors and starts to kill people in the upper, or starts to kill the children of the neighbors. And lots of actual cases happened about this. So we produced a documentary, an investigative documentary, like Michael Moore style, of trying to understand what is this about. So when we posted this video on YouTube, at that time, the YouTube was all about fun content, was all about the comedy content. We were like talking, if it gets 50,000 views, it would be amazing. 100,000 views would be great. 500,000 views, it will be like, I will like ask all of you guys to join for a meal, a very expensive meal for this. I remember after posting this video or this film documentary, my friend called me, and I was like busy with a project outside, and he told me over the phone that the viewerships got 1 million views by now. And I was like, okay, am I going to make 2 invitations now or something? I don't know. The second day, it got 2 million views. The third day, it got 3 million views. The fourth day, 4 million views, and so on until the 5th or 6th day. We were sitting in the office like, wow, how serious was that? We didn't mean to do that. We didn't do any marketing or any monetization, but people started to pass it through like crazies because it was very awareness video. It was about children dying. It had this experimental segments in the documentary. I'm calling like bringing all these newspapers about the hygiene or about these people who sell toxic stuff. And then I made it like a test of and hid my mobile phone over my wallet. And I made a shooting of someone actually after like 10 minutes delivering me this substance to my hand and also saying, don't tell anyone that I brought it to you, you know. It was nice. It was a great experience for me. And at that time, I realized like, yeah, maybe documentary is your stuff. Maybe you like to tell real stories, like tragic stories or success stories. It's about documentaries. I don't like the fiction films, the imaginary characters and all these cooked stuff. No, of course, we do some cooking also in documentaries, but it's too cooked about the fiction films. It's too acting, you know. So that's why sometimes I don't like the fiction films.
But that film kind of put you on the map, right? And from there, I think you've made several other ones, but there's one that I just mentioned when I introduced you as well, Underground. can you just tell us a little bit more about that film, the inspiration for it? And I would love to know, because of the topic, I would love to know what you learned along the way.
Underground, it's a documentary about the musical talents in Saudi Arabia. And from the title, you can understand that it's about the underground musical talents. The heavy metal, the rock, the hip hop, the rap, and everything. And that experience was amazing because I realized like some of them actually started from the 80s in Saudi Arabia, learning about the electric guitar, learning about the mixes, learning about the lyrics and writing and etc. So it was a nice discovery of this underground environment. And also the documentary had real performances recorded in very high professional way of some of their songs and their challenges and their journey and the rejecting forces they got from the environment around them or the community and the society. And also mentioning the new era, the Vision 2030 era, how things got changed. So it was a nice journey through their stories, going through all the aspects. And after the movie, you can understand exactly what is happening in the music industry from the early days until now. That was the first time going into these artistic topics. I usually do exploratory documentaries or National Geographic style. We had a film called The Cave. We went to Italy, to the Dolomites, and we made the discovery of a cave there. And a snowstorm started and we couldn't go out, and the rescue team came out to us after 5 or 7 hours and etc. So I go into these stuff, the medical topics and all these dangerous stuff. But this was my first time talking about music. It was so relaxing for me. And I have a music application in my phone. And they was like, you never use that application. Listen to some music. Try to use music to heal yourself, to get to know yourself more. Yeah. So documentaries for me, it's like picking beautiful flowers from different gardens and plant them in my own garden.
I guess we're going into the arts and culture kind of scene. So you're in film, you're doing a documentary about music. All of these are new industries in Saudi, or industries that are now becoming much more popularized, much more accessible to people. So what do you think has contributed to this growth of both the Saudi film industry as well as the music industry and other arts and culture industries? Tell us about kind of how you see that.
It's like we got shifted 360 degrees, since 5 or 7 years ago. It was amazing what happened. A Ministry of Culture established that led all the growth and all the support and all the things that these artists need. So the Film Authority, for example, they are supportive, and they chose the CEO of this authority like one of us, a filmmaker who was living our struggling moments. He knows all the things we need. He knows all the support we want. So he's like our leader, in this. And all our complaints or our requests or our dreams are heard by him and his team. So what's happening now is amazing supporting, financially, in consultation and in education and in scholarships abroad, and countless of supporting plans and programs. So actually, I myself are a consultant with the Ministry of Films. Any of their films that got fund raised or something by the ministry, it has to pass through me or through some of other consultants to evaluate these films.
Do you think that the funding is accessible? Do you think it's easy for people to discover that this is what they want to do? Is there support and awareness that's being kind of raised in different areas?
The fundraising program, it's before 2 years, it was limited to a certain time. You submit your idea or you submit your film, and then it gets through evaluation, and then the submission gets closed, and etc. Now it's open through the year, all the time. Anytime they can call me. We have another film. Please, can you evaluate these and these and these papers for us? So it's accessible yet very professional. It's actually kind of educationally good for the participants to know how to submit a film in an entire international way. The way that goes here is the same way that goes with a very international fund. How do you submit the budgeting or the storyboard or the details and the script, and you translate it and all the things. So it's amazing. And for me, when I get a film to evaluate, it's like tens of files. I evaluate all of them to understand if the filmmaker is serious enough about his film. And actually, lots of films got out of these fundraising, and they got to actually one of them now got nominated for Cannes Festival. The film Noura is one of the films that got supported from the Ministry of, from the Authority of Films, or the Films Authority. So yeah, things are getting great. Yeah.
Abdulrahman, where do you get your ideas for your films? Like, do they find you? Do you read about something and then you get passionate about it and then you go discover it? Or what's your process for making a film from getting the idea in and then actually making it?
Look, I recently, and unfortunately, I understood something very important about myself, that I'm a very bad idea generator. Okay. Like whatever idea I generate, it sucks. Nobody likes it, and they're like, "Come on, what are you doing? This is not you. These ideas are very lame ideas. Don't do that to yourself. How about you just shush and sit right there, and the right idea will come to you." So I got the idea. I'm not a spark, but I'm a gas that can be very flammable when the right spark got dropped into it. So most of the ideas, or not all of the ideas I worked on, are inspired by other people around me. Like the Phosphine documentary was inspired from other people. The Underground documentary got inspired by one of my very close friends, Tamer Farhan, and all the ideas got inspired by others. So the thing is, when I hear the idea, of course, I get lots and lots of ideas by time. All of them saying, "I have the best idea for you. How about this idea? And how about that one? How about..." daily, semi-daily basis-ish, I get ideas from around me, and I was like, I don't feel myself there. I don't see myself there. But when the right idea comes, I feel I can start imagining how the end result will happen, how the film will look like, how the production will happen, how it's like in 1 second or two, all these film clips starting to get into my head, and I will get to the end realization, yes, this is a good film. We can do that. And then we start working on it one by one. Like it's like a process, yeah.
So your journey to being a filmmaker is going to be very different from the next generation of young Saudis who are aspiring filmmakers. I mean, they're not going to go through what you went through, which is learning about film before film was really opening up, before there was government sponsorship from the Ministry of Culture, and sort of a now maybe not thriving, but generating and blossoming ecosystem that's still forming. What advice would you give to younger filmmakers who are interested in this, knowing what you have experienced in the past and how you got to where you are in your career? What advice would you give them about being a filmmaker in Saudi Arabia?
Lots of filmmakers nowadays, especially the young ones who started very recently, they are a bit looking for financial support the whole time. I want a fund for this film. I want my film to get funded. If it doesn't get funded, I will stop, And I was like, most of my films was not funded ever, Yeah, in my whole life, I got fundraised to produce a film only one time. Either they are one time or two, as far as I remember. Either they are fully budgeted and fully financed by myself through through my business in filmmaking, for the corporate documentaries and stuff, and take part of that money and make the films I like, the passion projects. Or I try to submit my film to fundraising and stuff, and I wait for that and I work for that. But those young filmmakers always want the money first. And I was always advising them, try to make a film from the society around you that is easy to make. You can cooperate with your friends, and each one of your friends can support with a camera or a sound recording device or a lighting. You don't need lightings like professional lighting sometimes. And a lighting from IKEA could do the job. Nobody looks or nobody knows what happens around the camera. They only see the frame you took, you know? So, I always tell them, try to get your hands dirty in the beginning of your journey. Don't wait for the support and stop when the support doesn't come. And actually, you know something? This is much better now, because those who are very serious and they want to be real, actual filmmakers, they will do this dirty work in the beginning, and they will understand that this journey will take very tough times in the beginnings. It's like a filtration system. If you give money to everyone and everyone gets to make some maybe bad content and etc. No, these kind of struggles, and especially now, even when I'm saying now there is a lot of support, still it's a tough support. It doesn't get granted or doesn't get given to those filmmakers easily. They have to go through committees and evaluation and etc. So still, the serious ones will survive through this bottleneck. You know, if they survive from this bottleneck, they will prove to themselves before people that they deserve to go into this.
Yeah. So what role do you think film production and this whole process now is going to play in promoting Saudi culture and stories to a global audience?
Actually, nobody can know how beautiful Saudi Arabia is, or how beautiful our stories are, and how amazing the people here. They cannot know unless they watch films, documentaries, reports, fiction films, and etc. about Saudi. Lots of people come to work in Saudi from all other countries, and they get to see all this stuff, and you get to hear beautiful stuff of what they saw in the people here and how the environment is beautiful. But they are individuals, you know, they might not make the effect that media can make. Okay. Especially when the authorities here are working so hard to try to make these films reach to the very famous festivals or famous events, or especially when Prince Mohammed goes to a very friendly tour around the countries. Usually he has like this cultural program with him, making like a venue or like an event, small event there for people to get to see the Saudi culture or to watch some films. Some of my movies got screened in these tours. So, and I got to participate in some of them in LA and other places. So yeah, the media content made here are very carefully selected, very carefully supported, and very carefully made, and very carefully picked, and very big support added to that to make these films got watched by the world. Yeah.
What kinds of themes would you like to see explored more?
The documentary genre is globally, it's like it's not supported or watched by people like the fiction films or other more entertaining forms of media. Okay, because it's too serious. Sometimes it doesn't deliver the message in a very entertaining way. It actually depends on the filmmakers to make a very good film to deliver it in a very entertaining way. And I can measure this by the Saudi Film Festival. The Saudi Film Festival, I participated in like, how many palms I have? 4 or 6 palms. Okay. 4 or 5 palms. Okay. Awards. I used to compete with only 5 to 4 films, but in the fiction films, 60 to 50 films are competing. And I was like, this is not a competition. But this year, there were like 20 documentaries competing with each other with 24 fiction films. They started to get even, and great documentaries has been made this year. So I was like, okay, some people started to get their interest in documentaries and started to make them in an amazing way. So I myself are considering the documentary as my mission. I don't only make documentaries, I try to spread around the concept of documentaries and how powerful it is. I wrote a book. It took me 2 years to write this book and got published by a very famous publishing house and Dar Madarik. And it was like my participation to those who might get interested in documentaries, to show them the road, to show them the way, to teach them the techniques, and to give them all the small experiences I got in my journey. So real stories are amazing. Real stories, and the real life has lots of actions, lots of dramas, lots of true stories, and lots of this destiny and this the work of God, how it happens. Sometimes it's astonishing. It's surprising. So it's already happening. It's already happening around us. You don't need to create a fictional stuff to make content. Already everything is, especially with the social media, everything is provided around us. So how about we use these beautiful content to make inspiring content to people, you know? So yeah, that's usually what I do.
Well, your passion really does shine through, and it's clearly part of the mission that you have to spread these stories. So I wonder if you can wrap up with us and tell us a little bit about maybe an upcoming project or something exciting that you might be working on.
I recently finished from the underground documentary. No other ideas are on the table yet. There are some ideas. Actually, we do some TV shows. One of them called Judur. Judur is translated as Roots. Roots is about it's like a National Geographic style kind of exploratory documentary or TV series about the ancient civilizations in Saudi, like BC civilizations. We made the first season last year, and we are working together on signing the contract for the second season. It's about an archaeologist trying to get to discover these archaeological places and get to analyze them and get to meet with experts and other archaeologies, and with some 3D motion graphics kind of effects and etc. So yeah, sometimes I like making series because some topics are very wide. Some topics you cannot put them in very small form of a film. Sometimes you have to make them in a series and sometimes seasons. So we are mainly focusing on a yearly basis, or 2 years. Every 2 years, we make like a cinema film, and yearly we love to work with the podcasting channels, Thaqafiyya of ABC, maybe sometimes, to make like series of like TV series of documentary stuff.
Absolutely amazing. This was just super interesting, and I mentioned before, I saw one of your documentaries on Saudi. So clearly you have a global audience. People that are coming into the kingdom can watch your film as they arrive. And it's one of the most inspirational ones, in my opinion, ala haddin siwa. So I congratulate you on all of the success. It's absolutely incredible.
Thank you very much. And I really enjoyed this talk, and I really enjoyed your questions. Thank you for what you're doing. I watched your previous episodes. It's amazing what you do. It's like cross-cultural exchange experiences, and I hope I added some, even a small part of this great experience.
We can't do it without you and people like you. So thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye.